Hey guys, Jason here with a word to the wise. It's been a while. A lot of things going on. Personal, business, life. A lot of things happening on the scene, though, out in the world. Biggest thing right now seems to be AI. Now, I think in some way, like they always seem to do, is they push things so far and outlandishly, and then they pull back and everybody finds a medium. Oh, well, that's not as bad as we were thinking. Oh, they were talking way over the top. And then, oh, okay, well, if they're just doing this, well, that's not as bad as we know this is coming. But yada, yada, yada. So, Armor of Truth, I do watch a lot of Armor of Truth and Days of Noah. I like to just kind of get a lot of Days of Noah is just, over the top awesome. Armor of Truth too, lots of good insight, good scripture. He put a link up yesterday and it was to another channel that seemed just kind of more of a news-based, and they had this congresswoman on there, and she was talking about the whole UN situation and how America was not present at this treaty, this world-affecting treaty, and American news outlets were not there. So it's like, well, why wouldn't we want to be, we're the superpower. Aren't we supposed to have, all this representation? And at the UN, why wouldn't we have somebody there? I believe, well, who's in control of the media, and who's in control of those who, have a voice in our government? Probably the same people, or the same table at least of people. And I think it points a lot more to how America is going to get disrupted. Be a good way to say it. How that is going to happen? Well, say this whole treaty thing goes into effect. Well, then who is it going to affect? Well, people who were, weren't present. You didn't vote on it, so you don't really have a voice, but you know what? It affects you. And looking at through the Christian lens, we see and are pretty much ready, in a sense, or waiting for whatever is going to come down the pipe. We're just looking to see what it's going to be. There's a lot of people that speak about God and, our godly rights, this, that, and the others. Well, but do they truly follow, vengeance is his? And I think that's going to be the main key to a lot of what is going to happen in our American future. People that are going to say, well, you can't step on our God-given rights. And they're going to stand up and, how could they make a division or a problem in our country? That would be a great way, by just trying to poking at the good old American, good old boys, those who follow the Constitution more than they follow the Bible. Yet they speak on God, but they think that somehow the Constitution is a part of the Bible's, God's rights given, because of George Washington, those guys in the secret societies who wrote these laws. So I don't want to lose my point here, but if, say, we were being held down and all these troubles were happening as things kind of were up and down over the last 3 years during the bug situation, just imagine that now those kinds of rumor mills that came but didn't happen, you know, the signs that were on your grocery store doors about entrance and not entrance. Now, just imagine that these things are implemented. Things that affect you going to work, leaving your house, you know, contacts that are contacting you, telling you that you were in the vicinity of somebody who had a bug or is problematic or blah, 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 blah. Any kind of situation. And how that could really affect us in the future. And really can affect us in the future. Say something like Matthew 13 about buying and selling. Not saying so much about the MOTB, but how they would say you can't buy and sell because you don't have up-to-date records. And this could be one of two things. This could be literally the punishment coming on to man, and what are the people going to do when that punishment comes? Are you not going to take your punishment and repent for our past ways and have faith in the future of Jesus coming? Or do you stand up and rebel and be like in Jeremiah 25 when he talks about the cup of God's wrath coming on the children of Israel? I'm going to take my hat off because things are going to get intermingled with worldly and biblical events. So, or is this some sort of a deceptive tool to have this so much information being brought out of, oh, look at the wrong they're doing, and just unloading it all over the people? You just, how can, you know, anybody just sit there and take it? And once it reaches to so much of a level, then all of a sudden, who comes to swoop in to stop the tyranny and bring the world peace? If you know what I'm saying here. And that being the Antichrist of some sort that is, oh, he's doing so much good. Why would you be upset with him giving us back our freedoms and this and that? You're now not good enough for society. And how then all of a sudden what we thought was the Bible prophecies coming to was just a deceptive tool, and now the real prophecies are being unfolded onto us. And who's going to be at the helm of that, you know, bringing people back to old ways of worshiping God, understanding, and then serious wonders and miracles as they are told in Revelation 13 in the second beast. They were able to perform miracles, to bring fire down from heaven. Imagine what that could look like. How could somebody do such a thing? And is that those who come out of the pit being able to wield the power of such a thing? Or is it those that Jesus was warning about in Matthew 24, saying that, you know, they will say that I am Christ and deceive many? Paraphrasing here. And looking at Matthew, or 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, I've spoken about this many times here in the past, about how the one who sits in the seat in the temple, are we the temple, and doing signs and wonders to deceive the people also. What are those signs and wonders going to be? And it makes me look at Magog in the future, I believe, and seeing that, you know, that's what comes down from heaven is fire that protects those who are in the city. But that also goes against what Luke 21 and Matthew 24 and I believe Mark 13 are also speaking about. When you see these things, flee to the mountains. Do not sit in a city and wait for God's fire to come down to protect you from your enemies. No, flee from the city, because that city is probably going to have a situation you don't want to be there for. So, a lot of paraphrasing, but this is going to be, I'm going to have this kind of a part one, because there's a lot of things in the Old Testament I want to show you guys, and a lot of things in the New, and maybe I'll be able to cross those and do them all in one video, but maybe it might be separate. I don't know. trying to do a lot of things, and I don't really have a lot of time. And the more and more I try to make time, the more and more I get behind the black ball, or the 8 ball, whatever they call that. So I can almost expect, seeing how Biden's health is just way out there. Kamala Harris is, loopy in her own sense. Who's then third in line now that Pelosi's out of the way? She's retired. Is that going to be that McCarthy guy? There's a lot of those guys that seem to speak up for the rights and for the people, but that's it. They're just a lot of talk. They don't do anything. Yeah, you're going to have somebody up there in front of you on stage on C-SPAN, and you guys might really put those people in their place, but it never affects anything. Do you ever notice that? You watch all these, people that are calling out those who are going to be moving into, these government positions, and they call them out and they make them look a fool. You're not qualified to do anything. You don't even know anything about this job you're going to take. And here I've just made you look a fool in front of, anybody who's watching on cable. Anybody who's going to watch all these little short clips that we're going to put on YouTube. Oh, look at how Rand Paul did this. And, oh, man, this Kennedy guy and this, that, and the other. But they still get the job. Doesn't affect anybody's, where they're going or what they're doing. It's just part of the initiation, getting your butt kicked in on TV before you take the job. And then they sit up there and they still do a bad job at it, whatever they're doing, because probably somebody else is nudging them along and giving them all the information. Here, take this paperwork up there and go read this in front of the teleprompter and blah, 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 blah. And then when problems arise, oh, guess what? That person was here for a year, but they've already retired. Huh, what a joke. But that's the reason why they were put up there. Just to be the whipping boy or girl who just gets, oh, well, they did it, but they're moving on to something else, and they're being promoted, or they're retiring, or they're going on to a different job. They're going to go be on, a commentator on some news channel somewhere. The press secretary lady, I can't remember her name, but she looks like a very nice person, but she sits up there and she just tells people all this BS, while the press, who just seem more like, it just looks like a Saturday Night Live skit where they just sit there and they hammer her with all these facts and questions, and she just sits there and kind of and just keeps spinning, all these little webs, that she can never answer or give straight truths to, or, just making excuses. That's all she does is make excuses. It's ridiculous. But and I just want to make one last comment, a couple last comments here. So we see this whole stupid Ukraine thing happening, and it's kind of gotten to the point where you can kind of almost speak on it a lot more. But imagine if all of a sudden we get pulled into this scuffle they're having between the bear and this country, and what will that do? I've always wondered, in times of trouble, times of war, I believe the president can evoke certain powers that would cease all of that during times of war. They are focused, not worrying about switching out the president, but they're focused on, defending, the commander-in-chief. Think about that. And if he's not ready to do it, well, you got vice commander-in-chief. Just an interesting thought. And then also, with this whole AI situation, how it's getting kind of so strong, wise, smart, quick, where it can almost fake out people now. It's getting too far. Now we got to start reeling it back. But do you think any company is going to stop doing that if they tell them to stop? Like, no, because if you don't get ahead and don't find a way to manage these systems and be prepared for the future, you're going to be the one who falls behind, while somebody else all of a sudden jumps up there to the front of the ranks. Oh, well, yeah, I guess we are just better. And, our system's going to be, you know, the next Google or something like that. And what is it going to take to have somebody be the governing body over such a powerful tool, you know, and just watching people who are, you know, they get songs, stories, articles, essays, musics, paintings people show. Now it can do video, I believe I heard, and commercials on TV. It's going to probably start making movies and all that. I mean, look at, you know, Super Mario Brothers. It's just a digital movie anyway. So it's not like you need to have real people. You can make these great cartoons, and then the cartoons can just sit there and get better and better graphics and be just like real life after so long. And we got that new video game that just came out that looks like body cam footage as you're running through a building or something. But what, you know, what's going to keep some mastermind, you know, criminal from just going to some sort of a system like that and saying, hey, just why don't you go over to the Swiss bank account and empty out the entire bank and put it into my Caribbean island account and cover all my tracks. Don't let anybody know. Make 1 billion links so that way people can never find me. Boom. All of a sudden that guy's just rich and the world economy just went down the toilet and blah, blah, blah. Can you imagine? Oh, well, now we really need to put a leash on this AI systems. And we're going to have an AI system that's better, that's going to watch the AI system. And they're going to make sure that and then it could be like iRobot. You know, we're all of a sudden they're saying, well, you know, you guys asked us to protect you. So the only way to protect you is by locking you guys up to protect you from yourselves. It's like, who doesn't see that coming, you know? But I'll be back. I'm going to try to get all my verses in order. And like I used to do videos in the past where I on my playlist, I have faith and righteousness and peace and all these cool videos. You find all those scriptures, and then you got to put them in an order to make it almost tell a story using all those words in the scriptures, and all kind of be a continuation of like a new chapter in the Bible of just those things, you know, just verses that have peace, and how you link all those pieces together, and the righteousnesses together, and faiths together. If you haven't seen those on my playlist, I would say I recommend them because they're great. I love peace, you know, it's a very soothing video to watch. And that was years ago I made those, and I think I still have them on this phone, and you know, it was really fun to make those. But I'm going to try to get all these verses together so I can show you guys what I'm seeing in the children of prophecy, scripture, and in these lands, you know, which ones are something metaphorical, which were real people, which is, you know, so I want to make sure I get everything kind of nailed down just right. But I gotta go. Just a word to the wise, guys. God bless. I'll be back. I'm probably just going to upload this straight without putting a lot of scriptures, but I'll be back showing a lot of scriptures in the next few. So, word to the wise.